All right, here we go. The late night happy hour. It's our legal night, our law and sporter night. Justin Watkins, Battleborn Injury Lawyers, is here with us. It's Steve Cofield, Adam Hill, alongside everything in Nevada is now delayed. Even our podcast. Everything here is slow. We're all behind. We're dragging our feet. We're going to get into that big time because the rest of the country is really mad. I think it's a bad look for us. But, we can also talk about, hey, this was going to be a process with the election, and everyone knew it was going to be a process, but I guess everyone didn't know, and now they're flipping out. But a couple of notes real quick. I got to mention a couple of sports notes. Adam, I just wanted to get your reaction. I don't know what it means, but Utah State appears to be worse than UNLV in football because they did not compete at all tonight with Reno. At all.
No. They did early for like 2 minutes.
They got their asses kicked. I also made the mistake of going back and doing some research on Romeo Dubs because it hit me. I'm like, man, he's been with the program a little bit. Like, why is he like, what is going on? First half today, he had 5 catches, 137 yards, 3 touchdowns. Last game he went over 200 yards against UNLV. And I stumbled upon something I did not want to see, Adam Hill. Romeo Dubs, the wide receiver, who at this point, if he keeps putting up numbers like this, let's start talking Heisman. He's ridiculous. I was looking at his recruiting in the past. Was not happy. Was not happy about some of the other offers that he turned down.
No.
Yeah.
Rutgers?
Yes, of course. But UNLV fans should be more pissed off because he's an LA kid, and somehow, freaking Reno lands this guy who's going to, catch, I don't know, what's he going to go, 1,500 yards in an 9-game season? For 22 touchdowns. It's ridiculous.
It's insane. And Reno fell behind early, maybe a little bit of a hangover, and then stormed out front. It's funny, when you said we're going to start with sports, I thought you meant Raiders.
We're going to get to the Raiders. We absolutely have to get to that. Should we do that before we get to all the election stuff? Because I think we go down the election rabbit hole and it's all over.
I would agree.
Yeah, let's do Raiders.
Okay, but we should mention, because and I'll mention this on the air, Adam won't be there, but I saw so many betting comments about Thursday Night Football, and people are like, this was the easiest bet ever. And Adam and I were both like, yeah, we'll take the Niners. We love little Shanny. Oh, boy, you lose some. What happened? Didn't even compete. I guess there is a breaking point even for the best offensive geniuses in football where they're like, I can't do anything with this.
Well, I also think there was, one key play was the 49ers thought they had a touchdown. They didn't. It was overturned. But they thought they had a touchdown to make it 7-7. Overturn, they kick a field goal, make it 7-3, and then the Packers score right away. It's 14-3. And now your running game is kind of taken out of the equation a little bit because you're down 11, and you start, not panicking, but, you have a bad drive, kick it, and now it's 21-3. And now you're like, all right, what are we going to do? So I think, that touchdown coming off the board, and it wasn't the wrong call. It was right. It's just that was such a big play in terms of how the 49ers wanted to manage this game and just completely got away from them.
All right. I see Robert in tonight. Robert just moved, if I'm correct, right? Robert, you were telling us about it last week. So, Robert, I think you're going to be a big part of the conversation later on as a former Nevadan. Adam could be getting an update on his fantasy lineup or a Georgia vote drop that didn't go his way.
No. Fulton County, you're right, votes, but it's not about votes. Fulton County Election Center, coronavirus outbreak.
Oh, man. The election that will never end, like literally will never end after all the legal challenges, after people are dragged from voting centers and beaten in the street. We'll get to all that. All right. So crazy news tonight, Justin. Did you see this with the Raiders? The hammer drop from the NFL. The NFL is like, all right, you want to keep ignoring coronavirus protocols? You're going to keep paying. So how bad was it, Adam?
Really bad. Listen, in the grand scheme of things for an NFL team, being up to a little bit over $1 million in fines, what are you going to do? But you lose a draft pick. Also, John Gruden gets another individual fine. And I would think the 6th-round draft pick, for those that haven't seen the story, $500,000 fine to the team, $150,000 to Gruden. That brings the total up to $1.22 million. I think it's $1.215 million in fines and the draft pick that they have been docked in the 6th round this year. So, listen, it's fine. They'll pay the fine and they'll be okay. But uh, the draft pick is big, and I think what it signals is, all right, you fuck up one more time, it's gonna be real bad.
Yeah. Ted jokes. He says, "Whoa, a 6th rounder, that'll do nothing. You know what it'll do? It'll actually get you Carlos Dunlap."
Yeah.
Which is why I kind of joked last week. I'm like, clear out the back end of the draft, like, so they can't take the picks away. Go get players. Imagine if they came back and they're like, you know what? You got to cut Carlos Dunlap. Now you're going to lose players. They can't take and you don't have them.
That's what we talked about. Like all these players that were available, they were all going for 6th-round picks. So you could have traded that 6th-round pick for something and said you don't. I mean, in the end, if you would have done it, maybe they'd take away a 5th. But you know, if you could have traded all of them, didn't we say package all of your draft picks for like the next 5 years?
Yeah,
so they can't take anything, which would have been a brilliant move.
How come we saw this coming and Gruden and Mayock and Mark Davis didn't? Come on now. So Justin, often I will talk about public servants and with the broad stroke, which you shouldn't do in any area, but I'll get real angry at public servants and politicians and say they're all crap, and then you step up, you're like no, it's a good person I worked with, they're a good person. Try to predict the first public servant in the state of Nevada who's going to go, "Hey Raiders, what are you doing?" Is there one public servant who could step up and go, "Come on, like we're partners with you in the stadium, you're supposed to be a leader in the community. What are you guys doing during a pandemic and the message you're sending?" Who's going to step up and say it?
Nobody jumps into my mind as being the one who's going to do that. And I guess I'm calling somebody out here. I have no idea how their feelings are. If I had to guess on somebody, I'm going to go with Clark County Commissioner Justin Jones.
Wow.
That's the only one I can hear. I can think of doing something like that. Maybe Tick Seegerbloom.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think like a real if Tick's like really really chill, which he often is.
But he was against the stadium, and he's kind of been pretty vocal about the fact that was a bad deal for the people of the state of Nevada and for people in Las Vegas and for our hotel industry. And so I could see him saying, and he's not shy. He doesn't shy away from any sort of controversy. So he's actually probably the pick. But Justin Jones is pretty vocal dude too.
But isn't he just napping and snacking?
Is that
what he's doing?
I think so. That means he smokes a lot of weed.
I don't know, man. I when I served, he was in the Senate, and he was the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. So I had to present a couple of bills in front of his committee once they moved over to the Senate, and he ran an efficient process. I'll tell you that. I remember I presented one bill, and he got done. He's like, "Any questions?" And there was no questions from the panel. He goes, "I guess you win." There's no vote. It's awesome.
I don't know if she would have done it because I know she would never come on with us, but she was really against the stadium and very outspoken. But now she's out of office. Chris G was not pleased about the stadium or the money, so I wonder how she's feeling right now. She's like, "See, there's some downfalls to this whole thing."
Yeah, I'm a big Chris G fan for those types of reasons too. She's willing to, say what's on her mind and let the politics, figure itself out later. Just say it like she sees it. So yeah, she if she was just still in office, for sure she would be one of the candidates to say something like that.
So in Nevada, we waited for a day and a half. Around the country, it's like, hey, everything's going to be out 9 a.m., but everything's not out. So it trickled out today, the votes. Adam, what's the latest? It's inside of about 11.5 is the gap.
Yeah, and we'll get some more updates in the morning.
And the expected vote in is 89%. So, Justin, is this about what you thought would happen, or is this a little bit slower than you thought the process was sort of originally pitched?
I think it's about on pace. I mean, it's Thursday, right? It's not December. It's Thursday after the election, and we are still receiving valid legal ballots in the state of Nevada today. So if it's postmarked or received within 3 days of the election in the mail, that counts. That has been tested in court, has been approved in court. It was approved by the United States Supreme Court. So it worked its way all the way through the court system. And there are a lot of checks that were put in place for the mail system that was implemented. That is, there is signature verification, both by machine and by hand. And if the signature is in question, or one of the signatures isn't in the right place on the envelope or the ballot itself, there is an opportunity to cure. So that opportunity to cure can happen until November 12th. So in theory, we've got a batch of ballots there that they're still trying to get some corrections on. But Miller, I'm just looking at Miller J's comment. I don't think this is going to be that close. I think the margin is going to be somewhere on the order of double of what it was last time in raw votes. I think we'll hit 50,000 vote difference. I actually think if the networks wanted to call it right now, they could. It's a reasonable call to make. I know there's only 12,000 ballot difference right now, but we got about 150,000 ballots that are still out there. 90% of which are in Clark County, all of which are mail. And mail-in ballots right now in Clark County are breaking heavily Democrat. I don't see where every reporting that's going to happen. And they said they might do some intermittent reporting here and there as it seems justified. But I expect a 9 a.m. tomorrow. The gap's going to widen, not shrink. And every subsequent day from here on out, it's going to widen. I think we're going to get over 50,000 or about there by the time this is all said and done. Trump is already claiming that the ballots in Clark are illegitimate. He was claiming that in early vote and took it to court and lost. Every one of his lawsuits in court was thrown out for lack of standing because no evidence was produced of any irregularities or any problems whatsoever. With one exception, that when they were talking about the observers and their ability to observe and how close they wanted to be, that case was still opened. And actually today, the Trump campaign and the election officials stipulated to dismissal of that action because they gave him like 2 more feet closer. So up until today, there have been no allegations of any improper votes being tallied. Now, everybody's pointing to 2 things that they brought to the forefront today. A new lawsuit was filed today by a woman who said she tried to vote. And when she went to vote, they said, you can't vote because you've already voted by mail. And she said, that's impossible. I didn't vote by mail. And so she sued today, and a couple of the local campaigns, GOP campaigns, joined her or were plaintiffs with her in the lawsuit to say, Pete, there's fraud going on. Now, the reason that I'm very skeptical of that lawsuit is that woman she made the complaint, and they specifically, Joe Gloria himself investigated it, spoke to the woman, reviewed the ballot, and said, the signatures match. Like, this is your signature. And incorporated somebody from the Secretary of State website, or Secretary of State's office, and they were there. It was part of the investigation as well. This specific woman. And then they said, okay, if you want to claim that you did not vote and you want to challenge this ballot, there is a process for that. We need you to sign this statement, challenge it, and then we'll do a provisional. And she's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. So she refused the process, but now is filing a lawsuit. So I'm super skeptical of that lawsuit. As part of that as part of the Nevada GOP's sort of attack on the credibility of the Clark elections, they've also done a referral to the Attorney General Barr on the federal level and said, we have proof that 3,000 people who no longer reside in the state of Nevada have voted in the state of Nevada illegally. And what they did is they took a bunch of the people who voted, their addresses, and they looked at the change of address forms on a national level and saw that a bunch of these people have moved. 3,062. Okay. They've now produced the list of address to address. With almost without exception, every one of the new addresses is at a military base. So, which you are allowed to do. If you were a military deployed at a different base, you are, pursuant to Nevada law, allowed to vote in Nevada. That can still be deemed your residence. And then the ones that aren't in military cities or compounds or bases, I did a brief cursory review of this. They look like college towns, so they could be students. So I don't think you're gonna see any significant number, if any at all, of these 3,062 that are going to be deemed improper, which is why they referred it to AG Barr rather than filing a lawsuit. So I guess to answer your question, I think the pace is right. I think they're going to get every one of these right. They got the verification right. I think they're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing, with the exception of, I'm not a huge fan of, we will only report once per day at 9 a.m. I don't love that. I mean,
why?
They have the result.
What's the difference?
So what they've said is that if they continually report as they're trying to tabulate, it's inefficient for them. They want to focus only on process, and then report and go back to process. That was their reasoning. But that's sort of irregular. Typically, most elections, it happens as it comes in, as it's processed. But remember, typically in a Nevada election, everybody votes on the computer. So the tabulation is instantaneous. So really, most of the time, the Secretary of State is just about reporting. Yes, there are some absentee ballots, but not a million, right? It's like tens of thousands. So the process and they could process those absentee ballots before election day. So what you're seeing in Pennsylvania and Georgia is they were not allowed to open up mail ballots and start processing and tabulating them prior to the closing of the polls. That's not true in Nevada. They had those numbers already. So all the numbers you're seeing that are outstanding are things that they received on election day or after.
If
in drop boxes or mail, sorry.
Right. Just going back to the point about it seems like these 3,000 names are military and students, and kind of silly that they would try to use this. But if they find one that they're like, this is legit, this person moved and it was clearly fraud. Like,
okay.
Could they use that? Could they use that to be like, no, we don't know how many of these there could be. You got to invalidate the whole thing.
I mean, will they say that? Of course they're going to say that, because they're going to lose, right? But the reality is, I think in the entire history of the state of Nevada, there has been 3. I think this is right. I heard testimony on this when I was in the legislature. I believe there's been 3 total instances of voter fraud in the entire history. All 3 were prosecuted and charged criminally. And as it turns out, I mean, not to make this partisan, but all 3 were GOP.
Amazing. So I was thinking about this, and this specific question goes to a greater thing that I want to get into. But if you file just a ridiculous lawsuit, just like, I'm suing you because I just don't like you, and I'm saying that. Obviously, it's not going to win. It's a dumb case, and it goes to court. Obviously, the judge is like, no, this is stop. I'm throwing this out. Right. Can you appeal that?
Can I appeal? Can you appeal the throw in?
Yeah, yes. Can I appeal the fact that this judge threw it out?
Sure. I mean, they don't have to hear the appeal. They can just deny your appeal out of hand. But let's talk about what really happens when you file a frivolous. That's truly a frivolous lawsuit,
Right.
and that term gets thrown around all the time. And they're like, oh, we've got to stop these frivolous lawsuits. In the state of Nevada, if there's a frivolous lawsuit as determined by the judge and there's dismissal early on in the case or at the beginning of the case because it's frivolous, two things happen. One, there's going to be an attorney's fees and cost judgment against the person who brought the lawsuit. The judge is going to award attorney's fees and costs to the defense. And okay, so you say, yeah, but that guy's out of money. He's a serial litigant, which does happen. They exist. They're called vexatious litigant, and there's they have, once you've been termed that, you have certain thresholds you must meet before they allow you to file lawsuits anymore, because some people out there will file hundreds of these things. I have kind of a funny story about that, but so you get this attorney's fees and awards judgment against that person, and they go, yeah, that dude's got 30 attorney's fees and awards judgment against him. I'm never going to see anything. In the state of Nevada, you can also claim that attorney's fees and award against the attorney on a frivolous lawsuit that's been determined to be frivolous by the judge, which I'm not saying this is the reason or not, but I'll just say the lawsuit that was filed today for the one for the one lady who said she wasn't permitted to vote and that there was fraud, only contained one of the lawyers from the Trump campaign. Trump campaign is not part of the lawsuit. They are not a named party, but it still had the same lawyer from up north, but the law firm from down south was not on the pleading. Worth noting. Maybe for that reason.
But so, I mean, the reason I even asked that is because, I was still arguing in today, and I have a little bit more faith in the Supreme Court than I did a few days ago. I'll say that. But my thought is they are going to try to get cases from every single state that's anywhere close into the Supreme Court and have the Supreme Court decide the election for Trump. Like that's always been my belief. But somebody said, well, no, they have to have real cases to work their way up to the Supreme Court. And I was like, I don't think you do. I think you just throw anything out there, appeal, and get it there.
Yeah, I mean, the courts have to be willing to accept the appeal and disagree with the underlying ruling, of course. But to give you a little bit more hope on the United States Supreme Court, a lot of people are pointing to the United States Supreme Court's decision in Wisconsin versus Pennsylvania and saying they're kind of picked one side and not the other, right? In Pennsylvania, they allowed the additional time for the for counting of the receiving of the mail ballots, and in Wisconsin they didn't. But there's a major point there. Justice Roberts was the deciding vote basically on each one of those cases. He was on I'll say the Democrat side on the Pennsylvania case and on the GOP side on the Wisconsin case. And his point of clarification was, we've got to defer to the state courts for their interpretation of state law. And in Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court had made a ruling, and he said, we're not going to touch that. In Wisconsin, it was a federal judge who overrode the state law, and he said, not the place for federal law to interpret. This is state law issue, and therefore I'm against what they're trying to do in Wisconsin because it's against state law as dictated by a federal judge. So, long-winded way of saying, so long as we're working our way through the state courts as we should, I think the Supreme Court ideologically is in the right place to combat your fear. And in Nevada, at least here in Nevada, federally and state, none of these cases have moved forward. They have all been dismissed.
Right, I guess, that was my point of like, yeah, it could get dismissed right away, but don't you just keep appealing?
You could try. But
eventually the Supreme Court's like, yeah, we'll take it.
The cases that I've seen and the lawsuits that I've seen filed, they're not. It's PR, man. They're not even actually asking for votes to get thrown out. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not. No, they're not asking. Like they're saying, we want to be closer so we can see,
Right.
or you should stop using this machine to verify signatures. That's the Clark County challenge. And the judges have said, no, man, like that, those machines are used throughout the nation. Yes, Clark County is the only county that uses it in the state of Nevada, but Clark County is also the only one that has 70% of the population of the state, right? They have so many mail ballots that they have to process that their use of this machine is appropriate. The margin of error of this machine is right on point with all the other machines, which is last I saw in the evidence was about 1.3% margin of error, and we are still hand checking over 70% of the ballots in the state. So the machine is only authorizing or authenticating about 30% of the ballots.
I mean, I just think they haven't really filed their real suits yet. They're just kind of playing around right now. Not that they're going to have
you talk to anybody,
actual...
yeah, I don't think any of these lawsuits are going to go anywhere, and nor are they even asking to go anywhere. And it's going to be, if we're looking nationally, it's going to be particularly problematic, I think, for them because they're going to have to go against their own party. In Georgia, all of the state officials are Republican. In Nevada, our Secretary of State, who's overseeing the election, is Republican. In Pennsylvania, the legislature is Republican held, and so I don't think you're going to see those state parties line up in the same way that the national rhetoric is. But you never know. I mean, yeah, I'm with that. I mean, I called it ball game yesterday, right? Like when we knew that the only thing that was going to be counted was mail ballots, and that nationally the mail ballots have been heavily Democrat. I didn't think they were going to capture Georgia. Looks like they might. Looks like it's almost a mathematic certainty at this point, the Democrats. But I thought Pennsylvania was a surety. I've been saying Nevada from the word go is a sure thing. It's going to be a 3 or 4 point win, somewhere in there. And so I think it's been a ball game for a while.
So the question that we were discussing just before you came on off the air is the newest thing, because when we were having this argument with John the other day, JVT, and he has gotten very into politics and stuff, and he was saying to me, like, you keep telling me you think Biden's going to win, but he's not going to be president. Like, how is that going to happen? And my answer was, I don't know. Like, they're going to come up with some crazy shit. Like, I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to do something. And they've tipped their hand tonight. We see that. I will lay out what they're discussing. And my question to you is, who is going to stop this? How can you stop this, and who's going to stop it? It's going to, I think, take somebody to be like, to stand on principle and be like, no, we're not, this is ridiculous. But the proposal is go into these states, arrest the election officials, throw them in jail, and then have the legislature just say, you know what, we can't figure this out, too much craziness. We're just going to send our set of electors, and they're going to vote for Trump. And that is the proposal now that's just out there from Team Trump. To me, it's preposterous. Like, I think people would maybe rise up, but like, who stops that from happening?
I mean, if we're going down the whole, anarchy, dictatorship rabbit hole, right? I mean, in theory, it's supposed to be the institutions themselves that stop that, right? Like, when you instruct a federal officer to go arrest somebody for something that they didn't do wrong, then the institution itself, the FBI stands up and says, no, we're not going to do that. That's not appropriate.
To be clear, it looks like they're getting rid of the FBI director in the next couple of days to be like, all right, you're out. And they're just going
heard
to
the
put their
other
own
way.
people
I
in.
heard there's tons of GOP support for the FBI director.
Right, but I think that's why they're supporting because they're trying to get him out of there. That was, and Steve, you mentioned it earlier. That's why Steve Bannon's off Twitter. He was like, "We don't need to fire him. We need to cut his head off.
No.
Like, put him in the guillotine. Like, what is going on? This is insane."
Yeah,
let me punch up the Bannon video to see
And
exactly
that's
what
the
he
second
said.
term. Second term kicks off with firing Wray, firing Fauci. Now, I actually want to go a step farther, but I realize the president is a kind-hearted man and a good man. I'd actually like to go back to the old times of Tudor England. I'd put the heads on pikes, right? I'd put them at the two corners of the White House as a warning to federal bureaucrats. You either get with the program or you're gone. Time to stop playing games. Blow it all out. Put Rick Grinnell today as the interim head of the FBI. That'll light him up, right?
You know what, Steve? Just yesterday, there was the anniversary of the hanging of two Tories in Philadelphia. These were Quaker businessmen who had cohabitated, if you will, with the British while they were occupying Philadelphia. These people were hung. This is what we used to do to traitors.
That's how you won the revolution. Nobody wants to talk about it. Revolution wasn't some sort of garden party, right? It was not. It was a civil war. It was a civil war. Remember, also in the revolution.
Okay. So your reaction?
I mean, I don't even want to watch this shit, to be honest with you. Like, it breathes more oxygen into the fire that is fucking insanity. We have to have faith in the institutions and keep the institutions going, and criticizing or undermining or ripping apart the institutions that's it, right? That's the fabric of what holds us together. What I told you is my experience of having served in government is you realize how fragile it all is. It really is about everybody buying in to the institutions. And are we going to get to a point one day where nobody believes that shit anymore, and the Constitution is just some, crown drawing on a piece of paper that's completely meaningless? Yeah, we might. I don't think we're there yet. And I hope we're not there in my lifetime.
Do you call crayons crowns?
Crayons?
Crayons.
Crayons?
Other people say crown too.
I didn't say crown.
I thought you did.
Crayon.
I thought
Crown
you did.
drawings.
Yeah, it was
a crown.
Crown drawings. It was like crayon
Yeah.
drawing.
Fucking clown drawings, whatever. All that
Clown, yeah,
shit.
clown crown. So I mean,
Crayon.
I do think this is the kind of stuff they're going to try. I don't know that it's going to work because I will say I have a little bit. I said I had a little bit more faith in the Supreme Court. I have a little bit more faith also that there is going to be people standing up because, like, my thought was I knew Trump was going to do these things, these crazy things, and after watching the last 4 years, my thought was, yeah, they're just going to let him. Like, all these people are such sycophants and they're so on board, they're just going to let it. But today I am seeing at least some people like, all right. And I think what I didn't calculate in my mind, that the Republicans would win the Senate, which it looks like they're going to. I mean, they're going to have the runoff, but I
two
don't
runoffs.
I don't think
in the same state.
I know, but I don't think the Democrats are going to win it. But they might. But what I think
I agree.
the Republicans are seeing is we're probably going to hold the Senate, and we got the judges, we got the taxes that we wanted, and by the way, I don't think they can repeal them until 2024. So they're like, we got maybe everything we're going to get out of this guy, so let's back off a little. Now, not all of them. There are certainly some that are still all in, but I didn't calculate that part where they would see what's going on and say, yeah, maybe we got everything we need out of this guy. And we have judges that are going to be there forever. And, nothing's really going to go crazy because it's going to be a conservative court for the next, 30 years. And then I think that they kind of said, okay.
I'll say this. There has been some GOP officials, both elected and former, who have voiced their criticism of the president and what he's saying about the election process. So that's great to see. But the other thing I'll just point to is universally, the judges, whether they're considered liberal or conservative, have had no patience for these lawsuits and the garbage, right? I mean, really what we're fighting over is the number of feet to observe and when to stop collecting the ballots. And that sounds like a big deal. But the reality is it's, I think it would have been fine if we weren't in a pandemic and every state wasn't trying to make emergency movements towards a mail-in system, right? We've never had a full mail-in system like we've had here. It was part of the response to the pandemic. And so some of those rules hadn't been established and the institutions weren't entrenched in how to deal with that. That's the only reason Pennsylvania and Wisconsin made it where they made it. My dog's going crazy back there. Can you guys hear that?
No, I didn't hear that.
Oh, okay, good. I think he's trying to dig out the TV. I don't know. Any other lawsuit that's there has been no lawsuits about fraudulent ballots, save the one that we've now seen in Nevada, which is highly suspect. And everything else is just about sort of the rules of the game. And under the rules of the game that has been established by the United States Supreme Court and all the state Supreme Courts and all the federal courts right now, we are operating within those guideposts right now. And we're going to have a clear winner.
Hey, Justin, do me a favor. I sent out some tweets saying that you were talking about, it was what, 3,062? The Nevada GOP is claiming 3,062 cases of voter fraud, saying that thousands of individuals have been identified who appear to have violated law by casting ballots after they moved from Nevada. Again, repeat what you said. You saw the list of names, right? And where they are. And what
I'm going to retweet it right now. Here's the Riley.
I tweeted it out, so I want you to explain it again. What you said about 10 minutes ago for the new audience.
Well, what got me looking into it was somebody responded to the tweet from Riley Snyder of the Nevada Independent, who tweeted out the list and said, "I'm on this list. My husband's in the Air Force. We are still residents in Nevada, but we're stationed here." And I was like, huh. So I started going down that rabbit hole and cursory, but I'm like, military base, military base, military base, military city, so I'm not saying every one of those people is in the military, but I'm saying just a cursory look at that list, it sure as hell looks like it. It looks like if they're not military, they may be students too.
I've just scrolled through the comments on the tweet from Riley Snyder that you retweeted. And one of the comments is, me and my active duty Air Force husband's votes are on this list. The Air Force moved us to California, but Nevada is still our state of legal residence, so we still vote in Nevada. The SCRA and the MSRRA allow this. Our votes are absolutely legal. Way to target military families.
Exactly. And what I was thinking, that should be the next step. If you're talking about 2,000, 2,200 people who are in the military, seriously, we're now going to try to invalidate people who are serving their country? Invalidate their votes? Come on.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's not even just happening here in Nevada either. I mean, they're saying stop the counts in states that have. I mean, Pennsylvania has a 10-day rule for overseas and military ballots. So, I mean, you can't vote 10 days after the election, but it allows for 10 days for a postmarked ballot to arrive because it may take some time if they're serving overseas. And so they no longer count the people who are serving the United States in the military and the armed forces that are overseas, and their mail takes 5 or 6 days. They don't get to weigh in on who, is the president of the United States. It's a sad position to take in a silly effort to try to win when it's beyond the writings on the wall. It's a mathematic certainty at this point, I believe.
Answer Misty Lee's question. I know you addressed it earlier, but for new people coming in, why is this going to Bill Barr?
Because it's bullshit, right? I mean, if it was real, we already have a judge in the state of Nevada, in Carson City, who has already heard all of these issues and who specifically said, I'm throwing out the lawsuit because you can't prove to me a single incident in which a vote didn't count that should have been counted, or that the other way around, a vote was counted twice. there's no evidence of fraud. There's no evidence of error. You have no evidence at all, and therefore you don't have standing to sue. So he would clearly be the person you'd want to go to and say, look, here's all the incidents. You asked for proof, and we've got it. We got them. 3,062. No, because there's not going to be anything about it. It's all about political posture and positioning. It's not about actually getting it right and finding out whether or not these 3,000 people voted improperly and did it twice. And I'll just point out that before they came up with this list, what number did they give to the public in their press conference this morning at 8:30 when they knew results were going to come out at 9? What was the number? 10,000. Why'd they say 10,000? I believe because he was losing by 9 or 8,700. They just picked a number that was bigger than the delta, and so they're not going to win Nevada. I mean, anything can happen. 150,000 votes coming in, but if you believe in logic, if you believe in the trends that are not only in the state but nationally will continue here for the remaining 150,000 ballots, which are all mail-in, it's going to be a decisive victory for Biden. I mean, decisive as in 3 or more points, maybe upwards of 5.
The mail-ins that are still to be counted, though, they do include mail-ins that were dropped on Election Day, right?
Dropped
at polling places on Election Day.
I don't know that for sure because we were at a number that did include that yesterday, but when the Secretary of State came up with when she reported the new number of 150,000 ballots, 90% in Clark County, I think she said mail in, but I'm not sure about that. It could be Dropbox. Could be.
And there was an amazing turnout on day of, dropping mail-in ballots and also registering, right, Adam? Didn't we see that number today? That there was a crazy high number. We're one of the states where you can actually register on Election Day, which is freaking awesome, right? So I thought the number was like 66,000 showed up and actually registered on Election Day and got the vote. Not that high?
I don't think that's right.
Let me go back.
I thought it was like 6,600. I thought it was like 6,600. Yeah. Which is a new rule too. So that's also something that the Secretary of State has had to address, right? Because when somebody registers that day and then they vote, it's a provisional ballot until they confirm that that person actually had the right to be a registered voter and vote. If they didn't, then that vote's not going to count. So that's going to take a little bit more than just tabulating a vote. They don't just count it now. They got to confirm registration and then turn the provisional into an actual ballot. Yeah, James says you're right. 60,000 provisionals.
Sometimes I read correctly.
That's cool. That's great.
I think it's freaking awesome. But with that, but that could mean, hey, it seems like a higher percentage around the country of people who went and voted on day of were Republicans. So I know you have confidence, but I'm not sure that there wasn't a bunch of provisional Republican votes for Trump and down ballot.
Oh wait. Provisional's different, right? So we got to make the distinction between provisional and same day registration provisional ballots. Two different things, right? So we don't know that they're all newly registered 60,000.
Right. James is right about that too. Provisional ballots have been breaking 50-50, according to John Ralston. He's been following that pretty closely.
I wanted to ask you a question about election officials. This Joe Gloria, I mean, he's got a hell of a job here, and now all of a sudden, he's got some beer barbecue freedom guys screaming at him, and he said he's his family's a little afraid for him. What sort of jobs are those? Are they like, I was going to call it seasonal, but is that a year-round job? Like, is this guy decently paid, or are these poor schlubs out there, even like at the top of the food chain, election officials? Are they're just part-time? They come in, they go out. What kind of jobs are these?
No. That's his job. It's his full-time job. And same, Gloria's done a great job. Barbara Sagaski, who's our Secretary of State, who's Republican, and I believe Gloria is a Democrat. Their offices have been working together. They've been on the same page the whole time. And so I think they've both been doing a great job. It's their full-time job. Secretary of State has a bigger job than just running the elections of the statewide vote, right? Like business registration, business enforcement. There's a lot of stuff the Secretary of State has to do. But when time comes for elections, the Secretary of State runs the elections.
Got a I don't know if he could have commented, I guess. So I don't know if he wants me to say who it is, but a coworker of mine said 190,000 ballots left in Nevada, 120,000 mail drop box ballots left, 60,000 provisionals from same day voter registration, 90% in Clark County. So that's the rundown.
Thank
Okay.
you. I was trying to find it from a Fox 5 tweet like 14 hours ago.
I thought the number was a little bit less than that now, but okay. I thought we were at 150 total, but so if it's 192 and 128 of them are mail-in, I mean, my guess is, and 90% in Clark County, my guess is that mail-in is going to be conservatively 2/3 Biden, probably
Actually,
more than that.
Actually, I noticed it's his own tweet, so it was Colton Lockhead from that I work with is the one that sent it to me. But yeah, he that's what he had, and it was just now. It was posted just now, so
Okay.
that's about where it is. And on the Joe Gloria thing, did you guys watch his press conference today? Because I loved it. Because I've seen, like, I've been at press conferences before. I don't know what it is. I think some people just have comprehension problems, and I mean reporters. Like, reporters are just regular people, right? Joe Gloria got on there. He got up there to talk, and he I think the mistake he made, maybe, and this is not a criticism, he got like really detailed. So he just jumped right into it. He went up there and he goes, all right, here's what we're doing. We've got this many votes. He's like, this is why it takes time to process. He's like, we process the vote first, we get it prepared, we do the checks and the double checks and get it to the point where we can put it in, and then we put it in, and then we count it, and then it goes through this process. And like, he's like laying out all these details. And he's like, so this is why it takes this long, and this is why it takes this long. And he's like, and then you do this to the ballot, you do this, and then we're just going to announce once a day. And it was like so detailed. And then he's like, also, we don't even have all the ballots yet. We can't count all the ballots. We haven't received all the ballots. They had to be postmarked by election day. So even if we did everything, like, we'd still be counting because we don't have all the ballots yet. And he really laid it out really well. And the first reporter goes, why is it taking so long? Like, he just laid out everything. And by the way, I feel like, and he also pointed out the number of each ballot, right? He was like, all right, there's this many of this ballot, there's this many of this ballot, there's this many of this ballot, there's this many total ballots. And then and I will call him out because I recognize his voice. It was Jacob Soboroff from MSNBC. He's like, what's the total number of ballots? He's like, we just told you. Like, I just literally told you. Like, what are you talking about?
By the way, like, unrelated note, do you like the Soboroff guy? He pretty good?
Up and down. Like, he has, like, I think he gets some good information, but he's like,
he was
I feel like he gets so far into his subject.
Yeah, he was putting on a show this morning when he was basically like trying to climb in the van as some of the Republican operatives were, trying to get the hell out of there. I'm like, all right, bro, come on. You're like kind of looking for him to deck it or something. So
and
where's the proof? Where's the proof?
I did see that. But that's,
I mean,
but it was also Richard Grinnell that he was going after.
You might actually get a great soundbite. So I understand that too.
It was actually Richard Grinnell that he was going after, who just is one of the worst people on the planet.
Why?
So just everything he does. And he was the acting DNI for a while. I've dealt with people in his circle, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Just a complete and total scumbag in every way.
Is Tito Ortiz closer to his circle now? Now that he's a rep, now in the city council in Huntington Beach, is he this close to Grinnell now?
Maybe.
Not Ruddell, by the way, not Roger Gruddell.
So,
by the way, I'm not paranoid. My dog ate my remote control. I had to put him in the kennel. But
I'd be paranoid on that.
Yeah, I heard a little crackling, and I was like, "That doesn't sound like a bone." Turned around and got the remote in his mouth.
Was it last night or 2 nights ago where we started making comparisons to what is going to happen in the next couple of weeks is exactly what happened in Florida in 2000, and it's the same cast of characters. Remember we were talking about that?
Wait, say it again.
So we were saying we were talking about on this show. It was either last night or 2 nights ago, and we said everybody should watch the documentary from Miami, the 537 votes one, because the same things that happened during that time are the same things that are going to happen now, and it's the same people. We were like, it's the same people. So you're referencing that Richard Grinnell presser this morning,
Right.
and the guy next to him, Max Schlapp, just total scumbag.
Right.
Literally was the main guy in that Brooks Brothers riot thing.
Yeah.
He was part of that. He was part of that in Florida, and now he's part of that today. Like, it's the same cast of characters.
And Brad Blakeman was the guy who was proudly crowing about doing a great job back in 2000, and he's making the rounds, and I'm sure he wants to get involved, and he thinks it's okay. Someone was asking earlier, John was asking, have I ever gone after an interviewee to get a soundbite? Nah, not really. Nah, I'm not chasing people down. Adam has. I mean, I've had subjects get really mad at me, like to the point where it felt like it was going to get physical, but I don't care. Who have you chased? Who have you chased after?
Well, one was Greg Raymer. That's a
great one. The poker guy,
and then he was a fucking asshole. Yeah.
Oh God, you wouldn't have lost your job if you'd pushed his fat ass to the ground. You would have been fine. You should have done it. That should be one of the great regrets in your life. Fat ass trying to threaten you. Come on, let's go, big fella.
But
now, by the way, is he any taller than me?
Because
he's fat.
No.
I wonder if he's like near your size, or you're kind of looking down on him.
No, he's shorter. He's not as short as you. You're tiny. I don't know what I'm saying. I've definitely chased other people too. Like, there's time, and I'm trying to think of some of the times that it was, but like there's been times where athletes like try to sneak out without talking to reporters, and then you got to try to chase them down
around the other way.
It was on and for those that watched the Last Dance, you saw when Rodman tried to sneak out. Remember?
Yeah.
Everybody's waiting to talk to him, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'll be out in 10 minutes," and then he snuck out, and they had to chase him down the hallway.
There's for Chad, there's not much more to the Greg Raymer story except that, I mean, understandably, Raymer, I don't know if he was a dick all the time, but he was annoyed because he had he lost in the tournament, but then he was rude to you, right? He was kind of a complete asshole, which, like, I get mad because I know, like, to Trees and ODB's point, Adam in a conflict would wind up buying a guy a sandwich before he actually got physical with him. So if you're being a dick to Adam, like, really? I mean, I know he's got this persona on the air, but in dealing with him, most people around town like him, his subjects. So if you're being a clunt to Adam, you're the clunt. The clunt behavior is not justified.
Yeah, and he had got knocked out, but he also had just won like a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was just walking down the hall, and I had to get a quote from him, and I was like, hey man, totally understand. This really sucks, and it's cool. If you don't want to talk, it's fine. But I just really wanted to get your thoughts on how the last day went and how the table went, and really, just your thoughts on how the tournament's going, or whatever the question was. And I was like I said, if you don't want to talk, that's fine. And he's like, "Fuck you, man." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, he's like, why would you even say something like? I was like, well, I'm just asking you a question. I told you if you don't want to talk, it's totally fine. And he was like, "No, this is fucking bullshit. Who do you work for? I'm talking to your bosses." And I'm like, "Okay, bro, whatever. That's fine. You could just say no thanks."
Just remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Just remember.
Although, wait.
Bill, is he dead yet?
That's what I was just gonna say.
I think he's fine. There'll be a moment down the road. He'll never know it's coming either. He'll be playing at some tournament, and I'll just be in the background. You suck. Why does this guy hate me so much?
Yeah, when COVID's over, Cofield, I'll go with you, and we'll just heckle him from different sides of the crowd. Fuck you, Raymer.
Yep. I don't think he's dead.
He's got an ace jack.
He was a wait, Raymer?
No. Pat's saying me and him went to the Bills-Rams game back when I was a Bills fan.
Yeah.
Some guy was just total asshole, and I was like, good one.
You like that one? Yeah, that's one of your moves. Just laugh at him.
Yeah, it's good. No reasoning
Hey.
with Clunts. That's true.
I don't know if you guys are still on and mess around with TikTok, but have you been watching it? TikTok is on fire about Nevada and the slow count. The shit is fucking hilarious. It's the best right now.
Oh, it's great. There's a lot of good stuff.
Talking about God, I saw one where they're like every ballot was like a gender reveal party. It's like blue balloons. They're like, oh, Biden, that's one. Oh, Trump, that's one. And they're just doing a celebration for everyone, every vote. It's great.
I saw one where they were like simulating like throwing ballots like they were dollar bills at like a strip club. Like,
yeah, it's freaking awesome.
Adam, you want to answer this one from Dynasty? Jersey now is gambling and weed. You guys scared we're going to steal some of your Vegasness?
no.
Why not? Jersey's a great place.
Yeah, wonderful, tremendous place.
AC's on the brim of a gigantic comeback.
Yeah, it's a wonderful town.
Didn't Virginia just add some casinos too? Didn't I see that? Voters approved like 4 casinos. Is that right?
Well, they actually didn't. I mean, like, they didn't really have to. Like, I don't know if you've been to MGM National Harbor.
Okay, no, I haven't.
It's essentially in Virginia. I mean, it's like on the bridge.
Yeah.
It's like DC, Virginia, Maryland, and it's massive. Like everyone there goes there anyway. But yeah, there's some rural parts of Virginia that it's not very accessible from. Like Northern Virginia, where everybody lives, you can just take the metro there. So you're basically there anyway.
What do you think? I was going to say, well, I'm sorry. What do you think of Jack Napper's comment here that we're slowing the vote? It's all about tourists. He says, what do you think of the theory that Nevada doesn't want to be the ones to take Biden to 270? His follow-up was because they don't want to hurt tourism. Like, will people hold it against us?
I thought it was more that we want the spotlight. Like we're trying to use this for like, all right, everybody has to watch us. Get reminded that Vegas is a cool place and come out here.
I know, but the thing is because we're only doing the reports at 9 a.m., they're kind of ignoring us all day. They mentioned, and Nevada, but they're not fucking doing it. They're not counting. We'll get back to them tomorrow. And then they keep talking about the big 3 right now.
Yep. Every day. Count the vote. Count the vote. We matter. We matter here in Nevada.
That's right.
Wow.
I've seen the joke about 8 million times. We will speed up the vote when you all learn how to say the name of the state around the country. Stop with Nevada, you clunts.
Yeah.
Get it right, and we can pick up the pace.
Oh, Lindsey Graham's punk ass gets on Fox News and talks about how Nevada's got all these fucking problems with the irregularities and fraudulent votes. And he literally says, and I know Nevada election laws well, and he doesn't even fucking say Nevada right. Like, you can't even fucking say the state. You don't know the laws. Shut the fuck up. Fuck out of here.
State pride, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's right.
That slithering fool. How about some updates? Adam, what are you going with tonight? What do we call you? Last night I was with Adam Kornacki, Mattingly.
I don't like that one because I can't live up to that. Kornacki is just he's a juggernaut. Virginia, as of 25 minutes ago, there was a vote dump.
You mean Georgia?
Sorry, yeah, Georgia. What did I say?
Virginia's back in.
Virginia.
I was just thinking about gambling in Virginia. Yeah. Let's see. It is.
What's the spread?
I'm trying to do the quick math. 56, 23, 79. It's about 1,000, like 1,300, 1,400. Wait, 1,000. Yeah, 14 something. As of 25 minutes ago.
I found a good Georgia follow that's kind of like their Ralston, Brendan Keefe.
Okay.
And he's all over it. So
Brendan or Brandon?
Brendan.
Where are you getting your numbers from? I've got 11,809 in Georgia is the gap.
No, it's 14 according to this dude 11 minutes ago. So his follow is BRENDAN Keefe, KEEFE.
Yeah.
So he said Trump leads down to 1479. Clayton County is trickling in 249 for Biden, 19 for Trump on the last dump.
I know, but I just gave you a lower number. I gave you a lower number.
I know, but there was one county that added to Trump's. just marginally that came in.
What's Trump's total vote on what you're seeing? Do they have it, or they just have the gap?
He only had the gap there.
I have it here. Hold on, because that was the same number that I just had.
I have 2,448,37 for Trump. 2,448,037.
No, 2,448,056.
Oh, okay. 19 votes are in. That's
Yeah.
good. 19 more votes for Trump. This is staggering.
Well, they are dumping in like some really small towns.
Yeah.
Like every like 45 minutes or so, you're like, wait, what? But the big thing in Georgia is that officially Purdue will not get to 50%. So
yeah,
that, you know what? Can we talk about that for a second? What is this runoff stuff? That one, that's crazy. A guy what's he? Purdue's going to wind up with what, like 49-6 or something? Or like, nope, not good enough. And then the other race. I mean, has anyone actually added up all of the Democratic votes versus a Republican votes? I'm kind of curious, like where the total sides are on that one. You don't have to do it right now, but that's the one with what Warnock and Loeffler at the top.
Yeah, Warnock had the most votes of anybody.
Right. I haven't seen it in like a day and a half. It was like 6,000. But I mean, if you start looking down, there's like I don't know what was it, six Democrats, 6 Republicans. It was crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Why do they do that? Why is that the case? You know the history of that?
Each state gets to determine it on their own. You know, like actually Maine has priority voting. So you can actually pick, say, a third party candidate as your number one, and then your lesser of two evils is number two. And if they're not in the top two, your first pick's not in the top two, then the priority voting comes into play. So yeah, every state can determine how they want to elect their officials. And in Georgia, if you don't get 50% of the vote, it's a runoff with just you two, so that the third party candidates don't fuck shit up.
Ooh, big news. Good news, I think. But
we got.
You never know.
The sure sign yet that it's over. Biden plans to make a, quote, big speech tomorrow. Secret Service has been deployed to ramp up their protection of him in anticipation that he is the president-elect.
Yeah. Nevada's going to do it. 9 a.m. tomorrow. Call it.
If you're Biden, first move tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern time, you play golf. Go, guys. I don't want to change. I don't want to change. I want to keep you in the norm. Let's go. Let's play 18.
Does Biden dangle a pardon in front of Trump to get him to do the peaceful transfer of power?
Oof, no.
Just like, hey, shut the fuck up, man, because you're once you leave this office, there's a whole bunch of people trying to go after you criminally.
Well, I can
take care of some of that.
I do think that's why he's going to fight so hard to keep this election going too.
This is interesting. Like Trump has tried to have, the absolute power in the executive branch. Who actually controls the Secret Service? What if he was like, no, you're not going to protect him. Nope, you're mine. How does that even work? Who's in charge of the department? Like, there are no rules. I keep telling you, there's no rules. He does what he wants. Fuck you. You're not leaving. You can't go protect him.
Here's the thing, man. This is what will really blow your mind is there's never really ever been any rules, right? Like, it's just everybody believes in the tradition and the institutions to enough of an extent to keep it all together, right? Like, why doesn't the Secret Service guy, maybe he's a Trumper and they're like, hey, go protect Biden. He's like, fuck you, not doing it, right? Like, I mean, and none of us want to do it. And in fact, you know what? We are now taking over the White House and I'm the president. And, and if you don't,
yeah,
it could be anarchy. It doesn't take that much to bring it down.
So wait, and to Mark's point, would Trump step down January 19th to make Pence the president so that he could pardon Trump?
He probably could. I don't know if there's any. I don't know election laws well enough that if there's a president-elect and then something happens to the president, if it's just a accelerated swearing in of the president, or if there actually is a successor named. I'm sure it's never happened in our history. We would know if it did. So I don't know. I don't know what happens there. I'm sure there's some super smart people to know what would happen.
Yeah, Adam, on the whole put him in jail comment. What are we looking at? Do we have a list of charges against him? Who's going after him?
Well, Southern District of New York, for
yeah,
sure.
Southern District of New York's all over it, but that can't be pardoned.
Right, that's a good point. State.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I guess they wouldn't even do it. But yeah, there's a lot of financial fraud issues that came up in a lot of these investigations,
Mm-hmm.
and they couldn't file anything against him because he's a sitting president.
Oh, right.
But
Just what they said on James Comey, his testimony in front of Congress said, if he wasn't the president, would you charge him with a crime? The answer was yes.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's stopping you from charging him for a crime is that he's a sitting president. And the answer was yes.
Oh, I have it. I actually spent about an hour today choosing like my favorite one.
You got it?
I did. It's like
What, Jim's comment about your American flag profile photo?
yeah. There's a lot that are like zoomed up, like all the flag and stuff. I actually want like blue sky flag waving in front of it. So I found a really good one today. It's saved on my phone. It's ready to go.
What about this question from Brian? We have not discussed this, but yeah, are there about 11,000 people who voted for none of the above for president? Do you think any of them want their vote back? I'm not sure.
I don't
Maybe
know.
maybe
There's
they
people
thought
who
it through.
fucking love that.
They thought it through, and they're like, "Yeah, I really don't want to prove either one of these guys."
Look at the people that voted for Kanye.
How many votes do we know what the total for Kanye is? I saw a quick grid of just votes in the South, and it appeared over like 7 states because he got at least 10,000 in one state. Might have been Tennessee. Yeah, I think he got upwards of in those 7 states he got upwards of like 30,000 votes.
Yeah, he did a TikTok that showed him at like 40-something thousand. He's like, look at my results. But dude, if you really want to see a none of the above, start looking at our judicial races. The Supreme Court had fucking, I don't know, it was like 50,000 none of the above. It was a big fucking number on the none of the above for our only competitive Supreme Court seat.
What if none of the above won?
There is a process of what happens there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, remember it off the top of my head. I think the second place person wins. Either that or there's a runoff. I can't remember. It's either, I don't know. I'll know next week. I'll look it up. I forget. We actually got instructions on that when I was in the legislature. The Secretary of State comes and talks to you all about the election laws and all the things you need to know and not know so that you don't go out there saying stupid shit. And one of the whole things was about none of the above and how they actually, the people of the state of Nevada have voiced their support over several different iterations of, no, we want to keep that on the ballot. Don't take it off.
Adam, I saw your tweet yesterday. You said the dumbest person. Did you say you've ever met or one of the dumbest people I've ever talked to actually won office? You were talking about Tito, right?
I did not identify
Okay.
the person who I have covered and may cover again at some point. So,
Do you think he's dumb or he just gets nervous in speech?
no, he is incredibly. Whoever I was talking about is a very, very stupid individual. But the person I'm talking about has taken a lot of shots to the head and allegedly maybe did some steroids. So there could be a lot of chemical imbalance.
Okay.
I'm
Real
not
quick,
saying who was talking about this.
before I play this lady who apparently was a Tito voter, your buddy Colton chimed in on the none of the above thing and says second place wins if none of the above wins, at least in state races happened in 2014. Okay.
So that would have been a primary, right? Yeah. So 2014 Dem governor, that would have been running against Sandoval, right? So
Let's just play her real quick. I don't even know if there's anything here, but we'll see.
Did you look into like what he stands for or?
Sometimes you have to take your friends at, the word. You checked into him though, didn't you, Bill?
Not really.
Yeah. That's fucking great.
Ortiz getting the nod and Huntington Beach. She's like, you got to take your friend's advice. What'd you think of him, Bill? I have no idea. I don't know what you're talking about.
Why are you doing this interview?
That was dynamite. And it's not a Karen. We actually put a woman up in a video, and it was not a Karen. How about that? Freaking people out.
I thought it was going to be the other video that you were going to show.
All right, Dinah, Steve. We'll see you. We're OnlyFans promo, sure.
Okay.
What video? What video do you want me to play?
I'm sending it to you right now. Hold on.
Are you talking Bible guy?
No, Tito.
Oh, Tito.
Tito's already taken action. He's in office now. He's a city council.
Let me play Bible guy here.
Okay.
About I guess anyone who's not going to swear in a Bible can't be in office. It's invalidated. I don't even. Is this new?
No, this is from this is from the
this is old.
it's from the Alabama race. It's from the when
Doug Jones.
When Doug Jones won.
Been making the rounds.
Judge Moore has also said that he doesn't think a Muslim member of Congress should be allowed to be in Congress. Why? Under what provision of the Constitution?
Because you have to swear on the Bible. When you are before, I had to do it. I'm an elected official, 3 terms. I had to swear on a Bible. You have to swear on a Bible to be an elected official in the United States of America. He alleges that a Muslim cannot do that ethically, swearing on the Bible.
You don't actually have to swear on a Christian Bible. You can swear on anything, really. I don't know if you knew that. You can swear on a Jewish Bible.
Oh, no,
You can
I
swear
swore on the Bible. I've done
can-
it 3 times.
I'm sure
Judge.
you have. I'm sure you've picked a Bible, but the law is not that you have to swear on a Christian Bible. That is not the law.
Oh crap!
You don't know that? All right, Ted Crockett.
I don't-
Oh, that was it. Yeah. Hold on, I stepped on the transition. Wow, that's awesome. Finally, Tapper's like, all right, we'll let him off the hook.
All right, Ted Crockett.
I don't know. I know that Donald Trump did it when we made him president.
Because he's Christian and he picked it. That's what he wanted to. That's what he wanted to swear in on. Ted Crockett with the More campaign. Good luck tonight.
Good luck tonight. It's cordial. It's cordial. He gave you the rope. You did with it. That's dynamite.
So good.
I didn't have to swear on anything. No book. We just raise your right hand. You swear, right? Yep. Let's go.
Yeah. That was a bad Zoom. His Zoom froze. That's it.
Yeah.
What else, Adam? You sent me something? Now he froze. Wait, is he? I think he's really froze.
I was pretending.
Oh my god, that was a good free.
I'm a great actor. Yeah, I think I sent it to you.
All right, I'll take a look.
Yeah.
What else?
Some people are great. So some people that just follow. Like, why are you following me? You hate me so much. Why are you following me?
Are you getting more negative comments on Twitter?
Oh yeah. I tweeted the margin between Trump and Biden is now down below 4,000. And this was earlier today. And somebody just retweeted, "Shut up, fat ass." Like, okay, I don't. Why do you follow? Like, and then I checked, he follows me. It's like he just found the tweet. Like, why do you follow me? I didn't even make a political. I didn't even make a political statement.
Yeah, well, thought he'd jab you a little bit.
He just hates
He's
math.
bored.
He hates math. Like, okay. Jesus Christ. Oh, it's perfect.
This isn't gonna load. Maybe we'll try to play it down the road. But basically, Tito came out. One of his first shots in before he's even in office. He wants the California recount. So give it to him.
He demanded a recount.
He wants
But
the
he
California
also
presidential recount.
he also said he's getting rid of homeless people.
Really?
Yeah.
Get rid of?
Helping them or
no longer. He said they're no longer welcome in Huntington Beach.
oh wow.
It was perfect. Yeah, as put it out there. Some guy was just mad because I kept posting the odds, and he was like, "I don't follow you for politics." I'm like, "Yeah, it's sports betting. It's the same thing. It's betting." People are great.
All right. So we find out tomorrow about Nevada. How many more days on Georgia?
It could be. I mean, it could be early tomorrow.
Pennsylvania could be tomorrow. Pennsylvania could be tomorrow too. Right now.
I think Georgia said that they'll be done like wee hours in the morning, but they have. I think they said the Secretary of State reported the universe of absentee military requested ballots at 8,800. So they have until like fucking next Thursday to get those in. Now,
so if it's super close.
they haven't reported. They did say some of what they've already counted includes that universe at 8,800. So they haven't given that delta yet to say whether or not it could actually, they might have already received a whole bunch of those. We just don't know how many are outstanding that have not been returned to the 8,800.
And by the way, somebody did ask earlier, where's Alex Jones, which I think was a joke, but they do know he is leading that protest in Arizona.
Oh yeah.
Which there's nothing I like more than they're standing outside the election center where they're counting ballots, chanting "Count our votes." That's literally what they're doing inside.
Yeah, it's like shut the fuck up so we can count the votes.
It's like going to you're going to a basketball game and you're like, play the game. And you're like, we are. Like, what? That's what we're doing. What are you talking? Like, what do you want us to do? And I also like in the Huno. I mean, I believe the reporting because it was so great. But the mixed messaging inside the campaign is hilarious. Yeah, it was AJ. It's hilarious because and we kept hearing, stop counting the votes, like count our vote, and like the messaging. And apparently, Trump had to be told like, hey, by the way, if they stop counting, you're losing. And he was like, oh, so he changed his hashtag to stop the steal instead of
stop the steal.
Stop the counts.
Oh, there's been some great TikToks on the stop the count and count our votes. There's been some good TikToks on that too.
Oh,
some clever people out there, man.
All right. I think that covers it tonight. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We're back tomorrow night, a little later at 10:30. Koken, the legend. He'll have some stuff on the election. And then lots of picks on college football and the NFL. Justin, you got anything you want to throw out there? Do you have more details on the December run yet?
I'm sure we do.
Okay. How about at least get people lathered up with the concept and, why you're doing it and who it benefits?
Yeah, so it's we don't put on the run. Just Run, JUSRUN, puts on the run. They do it every year. It's the Rocket Reindeer Run is what it's called. And we started it when Troy, for new listeners, Troy Atkinson, who I founded the firm with, when he was diagnosed with cancer in 2014, as kind of, we said, what can we do to help you and support you? And he said, all the love and support that everybody's giving me is good, but let's like try to live healthier lives. Let's get the word out. Let's support some cancer causes. So we decided that year to run as a firm and friends, the Rocket Reindeer Run, and raise money for Stand Up to Cancer. So we all ran in Stand Up to Cancer shirts. We everybody from the office ran, and it was like my first run in years and years and years and years, and it got me started, and I kind of haven't stopped since. And we've been the sole sponsor of that race ever since Troy passed now, and we just keep adding people to it. So, God, I think last year we had, 60 or more people in our group that were, not everybody who works for the firm, but past people who work for the firm, friends of Troy's family's there every year with us. And so it's just super special to us, and it's all ends up being for good cause, right? Like if any of the listeners on here want to run it with us, James has run it with us a couple times, who's on here commenting. If you want to run it with us, you just hit me up on Twitter. We'll pay your entry fee. We'll get you a shirt. We just want people to go.
Yeah, we'll push it more, and we'll get more people involved on the terrestrial side too. So Von Tobel and I showed up last year. Von Tobel had his kid in a carriage and was, pushing Diego around. So we had a lot of fun last year. I don't know that we ran a whole lot, but maybe that'll be the goal in a month or so. Oh,
you could do it, dude.
I keep saying that every week. Like, I'm going to be ready to run the whole thing.
Vote dump in Pennsylvania, by the way.
Oh, we got to keep going. Another hour. Stick with us. No, what is it?
Beginning of the show is at 24,600. Halfway through the show, it got down to 22,700. Last dump of votes, it's down to 18,224.
With 5%. With 5% outstanding.
Well, it's still approximate.
Well, yeah.
Took 4,347 off in that 45 minutes.
Man,
Biden's
it
gonna
is
get that one by 6 figures. He's getting that by 100,000.
It is, I will say it is crazy because a lot of people they kind of ignored all the other states that aren't in, aren't tight races. But it is kind of the norm in a lot of these states. Like a lot of them are, people are getting pissed at Nevada being at 89%, but there are still a lot of states at like high 60s, low 70%. So, percent wise. So it's a process, man. It takes a while to count.
Oh.
I didn't have anything sexy at the end. I just noticed that. I was like, I wonder what the gap was in New Jersey. Oh shit, they still have 28% to go.
Yeah, it's just this happens all the time. Like, actually, 2018, the night of the election, it was like, oh, not as good as we thought for the Democrats. And then like 4 days later, you're like, wait a minute, what just happened? And that's happening in the popular vote too right now. You see, yesterday we talked about a little over 3 million. Today it's a little over 4 million. That just takes a long time to vote. The difference is usually we have enough states called that it's determined, and then nobody cares that it takes so long to count the votes. This year, it just so happens they need to call a state first.
What the fuck's wrong with Alaska? They're at 56%. Let's get up.
Actually, the thing I'm looking for is if Nevada does go in the morning the way I expect it to, and I think the way Justin expects it to also, and Nevada's over in the morning, it creates a very, very interesting scenario.
Yeah.
In that Fox News has called Arizona for Biden. So once they call Nevada for Biden, he will be the president-elect on Fox News, but not on the other outlets.
Yeah.
Has anyone... Have they
and they won't go back on Arizona either.
No.
They've been out, and they won't go back on it.
Why did they go so early in Arizona? Any explanation?
Yeah, the guy that runs their decision desk came on, did an interview, and he's like, we've looked at all the numbers. We've crunched all the numbers. He's not coming back. It's over. Like, Biden has won Arizona. And like the anchors were screaming because apparently Trump like went ballistic at the White House of like, fuck Fox News. And so all of his surrogates went on Fox News that night on election night, and they were like, how could you make this call? This is outrageous. Like, you're trying to screw over the press, like all this stuff. And they had the guy that runs their decision desk on, and he's just like, yeah, I don't get caught up in all this. Like, the numbers say what the numbers say.
Oh.
He's winning.
Good for them. Has he just popped on every show and they just beat the shit out of him? Just rotate just screaming at him?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right, Adam. I've been waiting for that too. Like, either Fox retracts Arizona in the morning right before Nevada comes in, or do the other networks try to catch up and call Arizona so that you don't have only one network declaring the race over?
It's going to be. I'm ecstatic. I can't wait. I can't wait for that to